Today's show is sportsbookreview.com. I'm your host, Lee Martin, here to talk UFC with the man himself, David Manyun. Before we get into any UFC talk, today we're going to break down the main card for UFC Fight Night, Alexander Volkov versus Curtis Blaydes. But before we get into any UFC talk, like always, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. That way you never miss a show. Now let's get to it. How are you today, Dave?
I'm good. Again, we're back again. And this week I got my Fight Island t-shirt, so hopefully I'll have more confidence in my bets. People were bashing me last week, for not having too much confidence, but that's usually what happens when you come off a losing week. You just have to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, I have faith in you for this card. Now, let's just jump right into it, all right? So we're just going to briefly discuss the prelim card. Do you have a top fight, favorite fight, and could you give us a breakdown for that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have some real nice fights for me this weekend, especially if you're a diehard UFC and you've been with us for many years. You'll see guys like Clay Guida and Jim Miller on the card, which is great to see. But we'll go straight to Clay Guida, I guess. He's fighting another long stay in the UFC and Bobby Green. It's the final prelim fight before we hit the main card. The current odds right now, we're seeing Bobby Green as a heavy favorite. Mm-hmm. And when you look at Green's record, you might think, oh, I'll have a little pop on Guida here. But let's focus on Guida and let me tell you why you shouldn't put faith in Guida this weekend. He's 38 years old. This guy made his pro debut way back in 2004. It's a year after I left school, this guy made his debut. That's how long Clay Guida has been fighting. So every old school UFC fan will know who Clay Guida is and the entertaining fights he's put on over the years. He's a true staple of the UFC and Team Alpha Male, actually. Best friends with Uriah Faber. Very aggressive fighter, but a lot of unnecessary movement. Now, he loses the majority of his fights unless it's a real low-level fight in this day and age anyway. He's coming to the end of his career. He actually fought another legend who's on this card and another long stayer in the UFC, Jim Miller. He fought him in his last fight and got tapped in 60 seconds. So it just goes to show that longevity can really, really go against you, especially if you're one of them fighters who wants to continue fighting in his older age. So for me, it's really got to be Bobby Green in this instance. You don't have to break down Bobby all that much because he's been through the wars the same way. He's a UFC legend himself, but the main difference is he hasn't been through these wars. He hasn't took the damage that Guida's took. He's younger, he's fresher, and he should dominate this fight really. So yeah, that would be my highlight of the preliminary cards.
All right, if you want to get in on this fight via BetOnline, Bobby Green is -232 and Guida is +197. Now let's head on over to our main card. We're going to start with the first fight, lightweight Jim Miller, who you just mentioned, versus Roosevelt Roberts. Currently on BetOnline. Where are the odds? I don't see their odds right now. Oh, there we are.
We should be looking about -200.
It's Roosevelt Roberts -225, Jim Miller +190. It was hiding from me. Can you give me your breakdown and pick for that fight?
Yeah, sure. We've got Roosevelt Roberts. He's a new guy to the lightweight division, coming in at 6'2", 155 pounds. Not something you tend to see. He doesn't struggle after making the weight either, which is a surprise. He became a pro athlete after 2 years in the gym. Now that's some super fast learning right there. That we saw in the octagon. He's super fast, laser sharp striking. He's really a volume striker over power striker. And he isn't afraid to get busy on the ground either. He's a brown belt in BJJ, although we haven't seen it that much. He does throw up submissions off his back. We saw, what's his name? Yakovlev. We saw Yakovlev take him down. And Vince Pichel was able to out-grapple him at times as well. And I'd go as far as saying Jim Miller is the better grappler from all them names just mentioned. And that takes away, really, for me, Miller's probably best tool to win this fight, grappling. I think he's going to come up short. I mean, I know I did just hype him up for tapping Guida in 60 seconds, but it's a total different level of fire right here. Jim Miller, as I mentioned before, has been through the wars. His fight IQ is going to be the main thing here, and obviously his wrestling background will be his main weapon. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, loves the low kicks, which could be key against someone who has the size of Roberts. He might need them leg kicks to chop him down. But I don't think we're going to get to that point. It's another fight I'm making a quick turnaround, like I keep mentioning week in, week out. After choking Brock Weaver out, which was really impressive in the second round a few weeks ago, Roosevelt Roberts is looking to stay hot, and the new kid on the block is going to have too much in the gas tank for Jim Miller, in my opinion. We'll keep this one short. It's Roosevelt Roberts for the win.
All right, if you want to get in on this fight, again, via BetOnline, Roberts is -225 and Miller is +190. Now let's head on over to our next fight. We have welterweight Belal Muhammad versus Lyman Good. I'm looking forward to this fight. Can you give me your take for that fight? Well, I'll give you the odds first. Muhammad is -120 and Good is +100. So what's your take on that fight?
Yeah, I really think that Lyman Good can show off his power in this smaller cage, you know. I'm not going to lie. I said it, do you know what? I broke it down on my SBR article for Dogs and Their Odds. If you're looking for some more preliminary tips, go check out the articles on SBR. But yeah, I'm siding with the power. That's what's going to happen in this one. Now, Belal, remember the name Muhammad, has been great. He really has. He's a fantastic boxer. He's aware of his surroundings, great defense in and out of the pocket. He's really relaxed and methodical in his style. He's never in no rush to start a fight, which is it's a really good thing to have on your side. Now, he's got a good record in the UFC, but the level of opposition has been low. So you might want to take that into accountability. And more often than not, we see Belal fighting his way to a decision. Now, he's coming up against Lyman Good, who I think is going to be probably one of the heaviest hitters he's fought in a while. Now, he's the older fighter and he's the less experienced fighter, but that was due to injury. So he had a period of time where he wasn't active whilst his opponent was remaining very active, and that's why he has the more experience. But he's a Tiger Schulman's guy. Tiger Schulman's, they've got a few guys fighting on this card tonight, and I fancy their chances as a team. I really do. The smaller cage, we've been watching it week in, week out, has been paying off for the heavy hitters. It really has. We're seeing finishes left, right, and centre. The judges are barely getting involved. And as I said at the start of the breakdown, I really think that Lyman Good can show off his power in the smaller cage, and I don't think that Belal will be interested in utilising his takedowns, which he's been pretty good at, against a guy like Lyman who has a black belt. He's got the BJJ black belt. So yeah, I just got a funny feeling that Lyman Good will knock Belal out. Something's telling me he's going to knock him out. He was also robbed against Dos Santos, Ezekiel Dos Santos, in my opinion, and he should have won that fight. And if you look at the trajectory of Dos Santos and Good, it's worlds apart just because of that one decision that went against him. Yeah, it's got to be Lyman Good for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Lyman Good, I'm definitely going to put money on him for that fight. So again, if you want to get in on this fight, Muhammad is -120 and Good is +100 via BetOnline. Now let's move on to the next fight with women's bantamweight Raquel Pennington versus Marion Reneau. Via BetOnline, Raquel is -157 and Marion is +137. So what's your take on that fight?
Yeah, we have the oldest female fighter in the UFC, Marion Reneau, 43 years old. Now you'd expect me saying 43-year-old, you'd expect her to be slow, and to be honest, she has slowed down, but it's not too recognizable, in all honesty. When I sit there and I'm watching her fights, I think, well, for a 40-year-old lady, she is doing pretty well. She's a BJJ black belt. What I did notice is her gas tank on occasions can be questioned. Her round one against Kat Zingano, she seemed pretty tired, I must say. So maybe clinching and grappling is the way to tire her out and then finish her off. She also has some very powerful strikes. Few knockouts on her record for Reneau, but just not sure it's going to work against Rocky, 31 years old. Like, more than 10 years younger than her. She's been more active. She's more experienced, although you wouldn't think it. She's more experienced, even though she's 10 years younger. And that is strictly from the activity. She's known for her boxing and a crisp striking skill. She was coming up against Holly Holm, where she'd been telling Dana how she was going to let everyone see her boxing and stuff. And it ended up in a clinch war up against the cage for 3 rounds, which it was a boring fight, and it didn't show what Rocky can do. It really didn't. She's 1-3 in her last 4, which is a rough run. But let's take a look at who she's lost to. Amanda Nunes, Jermaine Durandamy, and Holly Holm. Come on. Are we really going to slate the girl for having a record when she's been put against them? She made her way to the top 5. I think she was number 1 ranked. I think she could still be. No, I think she's 6th ranked now. So she's close to the top 5, but she's still sharp, man. And she looked sharp against Irene Aldana. And she just fought a poor fight against Holm. That's my opinion. It was a weird clinch exchange. Like I said, up against a cage. It was an odd one. But she mixes her strikes up well. She does lack power. I think she has this one in the bag. I do think we'll see a stand-up battle, and I'm going to side with the youth and speed in Raquel Pennington. Also, we have the same birthday, and she sent me a birthday video message last year. So I'm Team Rocky, and spoiler alert, I'm Team Tisha Torres as well, her partner.
That's awesome. All right, well, if you do want to get in on that fight, Pennington is -157 and Reneau is +137. Now let's head over to the co-main event. We have featherweight Josh Emmett and Shane Burgos. Via BetOnline, Burgos is -135 and Emmett is +115. Now, again, your breakdown and pick for that fight.
I love this fight. I really do love this fight. Number 8 ranked featherweight, Josh Emmett versus the number 10th ranked featherweight, Shane Burgos. And this is going to war. This could be fight of the night quite easily. Josh Emmett, mid-30s, mixed martial artist. He focuses on his boxing and he's light on his feet, in and out of the pocket with heavy hands. Great pace through 3 rounds. Has a few knockouts on his record as well. So, he shows patience, which I love. Great feints, level changes with his striking. Good head movement. Always bobbing and weaving. Great fundamentals to his boxing. He's a stocky featherweight, so he's always giving up the size. So the taller opponent, it doesn't really affect Emmett all that much. Now, from looking at his fight tape and his past fights, it was the fight with Jeremy Stevens that stood out to me. As soon as he got to that level, he was dropped, and that was it. So although he is still impressing, with his KO power at his age, I just can't get that Stevens fight out of my head. Now, watching him against Stevens, he did seem like he was he seemed quite fast in that fight. I'm not going to lie, but then you watch him, even though this is a win that he had against Michael Johnson. When you watch him against Michael Johnson, his speed doesn't seem to be up there. So I just really think he's really gonna be outstruck, and that's what we're gonna see here. So Josh Emmett, Shane Burgos, the line kind of speaks for itself. Look, Shane Burgos is another guy with great fundamental boxing. If Josh wants to beat him, he's probably gonna have to go back to the book. He's gonna have to go back to his wrestling, which is what got him into martial arts. But I just don't think that's good. I don't think we're going to see that happen. And I've seen Burgos sprawl a lot of people. He's great. He's got the great fundamentals himself, but he's just more aggressive and faster, in my opinion. He mixes up his offensive striking between the body shots and the head shots so well. When you watch Shane Burgos rip to the body, it's what you want to see in a fight you back him, because them shots to the body, they're taking the gas away. In a war that you think has the potential to go a few rounds, I have to back a fighter like Burgos in this position. One thing he can't do is he can't allow himself to be hit, as he's done in other fights against Amir Khani. He can't let people hit him, because we need to warn everyone of Josh Emmett's power and what he can do with that right hand. So he can get knocked out at any point. Another bad thing about Burgos, he's very susceptible to the leg kicks. He took 60 in fact, it was more than 60 leg kicks against Charles Rosa in the first 2 rounds. And his hands are always low because he's so confident with his boxing. And he uses his low hands to bring certain strikers in who I believe he's not scared of their power. But I think he'll respect Emmett's power more. He won't want to get stiffened again, that's for sure. And he won't want to be dropped again like Kurt Holloway dropped him, who's real low level. So hopefully Burgos can learn his lesson. It's a struggle, it is, I'm not going to lie. But I just think that Burgos could dish more output. Low hands is a worry, but yeah, I think he'll overcome it with his bobbing and weaving. Burgos is going to have a huge size advantage and should dictate the striking game. Yeah, Shane Burgos for me. It's got to be Shane Burgos, but just be careful because Josh Emmett has got some serious grenades in his hands.
Yep. All right. So again, if you want to get in on that fight, I keep losing them. Shane Burgos is minus 135 and Emmett is plus 115. Now for the main event. We have Curtis Blaydes versus Alexander Volkov. And I'm just going to take a look back to the odds from last week. Blaydes was minus 280 and Volkov was plus 240. Now on BetOnline, Blaydes is minus 405 and Volkov is plus 305. So can you give me your take for that fight as well as your pick?
Yeah, it's Curtis Blaydes. I don't need to hype on. I've been screaming Curtis Blaydes' name since the odds were released weeks ago. Yeah. Alexander Volkov literally has a puncher's hope. That's the reality of it. He's had a very padded record in the UFC, right? Mm-hmm. Now you look at his record and you think that's awesome. He's 5-1 since joining the UFC way back in 2016. But he hasn't been really active all that much. And his wins, I hate to say it, have come against bummy versions of the fighters that he was fighting against. They were shells of them former selves. His most recent win against Greg Hardy was good, I guess. But look, this is Greg Hardy, who's way too green for the top 10. Top 10 rankings. He's not ready for that level of competition. And Volkov didn't really do anything overly impressive against a guy that was injured. Let's remember this. Hardy was injured. He injured himself in that fight instantly. Now, some great leg kicks from Volkov. But how are you going to throw a leg kick against probably the best wrestler in this division? I'm actually going to go on record as to say that I think Curtis Blaydes, if we take Francis Ngannou out of this division, nobody is going to beat Curtis Blaydes. He has some of the best offensive wrestling in that division, including Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, Daniel Cormier. I'm sorry. Some people will bash me for that, but I've watched so much tape on Curtis Blaydes, and he's a really incredible wrestler. I have to just go to the Fabricio Verdum versus Alexander Volkov. Now, I've actually been through every fight of Volkov's that he's lost, but you only have to look at the Verdum fight. He was taken down constantly held there, constantly taken down. And this is from a Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. This is not from a wrestler. So what do people think is going to happen when Volkov is stood in front of a wrestler of the caliber of Curtis Blaydes? It's not going to be pretty. Now, you can even tell, even the bookmakers know. You go and look at Curtis Blaydes inside the distance. It's been juiced up to minus 210. These lines make me feel sick. I think Curtis Blaydes is probably best off as, adding him to a parlay or something or other. I mean, if you want to pay for him straight, I salute you, and you should have no problems in cashing. This is an easy one. It really is. Mm-hmm. Curtis Blaydes, Elevation Fight Team. I love them. It's going to be a wrestling masterclass. Same as we saw from Curtis Blaydes in almost every fight he's had, other than Francis Ngannou. So, yeah, it's all Curtis Blaydes for me this week.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. So, again, if you want to get in on the main event, Curtis Blaydes minus 405, Volkov plus 305. Now, let's head on over to the live chat real quick. Let's see what people have to say. Gaming with Von Paulo says, I love Roberts. So, there's that. There we go. Yeah, so we keep scrolling down. Gaming with Polo said, I love Muhammad for this fight. So, Muhammad over Good. That should be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm very confident.
Look, he's
in good
favorited
that
for the
fight.
reason. Let's just say he's the favorite for a reason. The book is not stupid, but I just think we have a great chance on good here. And look, I've beat the line. The line is now at plus 100 at some books, and I gave it out at plus 125. So when the line moves, you know that you're on the right side. And even in them losses, you know if you continue playing the right side, by the time 2021 comes, you're going to be in the profit, because that's how betting works. It doesn't work by betting on the best person every week.
I agree with you with that. All right, let's keep scrolling down. Game Theory says Emmett throws bombs. That's very true. He does. Morgan Kinsey also says Emmett is winning this for sure. So let's keep scrolling down. Blah, blah, blah. Josh Benedict says he's got Murphy plus 120, Emmett by KO TKO plus 210. That is interesting. And then Josh Benedict...
I always respect people taking plus money. I can't hate on people taking the Eves plus.
Well, Josh Benedict also says Blaydes by KO and TKO minus 190. So that's good.
Okay.
Right?
I saw it at 200, but your book's better than mine, mate.
All right. Well, that's everything. Shout out to everyone in the live chats. Game Theory, Josh Benedict, Intrust Games, everyone, and Rafael Perez. Shout out to you in the live chats. That's all I have for today. Thank you, Dave, for dropping some knowledge again and for giving me your time. If you aren't following Dave on Twitter, definitely give him a follow at Dave Manyun _ and also give SBR a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SBR Sports Picks. And don't forget, give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube page. That way you never miss a show. Again, thank you, Dave, so much. Until next time.
Thank you.